Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled People Stories. Our first story we'll be reading today, My Karen Wife Won't Let Me Attend My Favorite Band's Concert. After that, free pumpkin pies for everyone. And after that, am I the jerk for leaving my date at a bar? Now for every thumbs up this video gets, one Karen does not get to stop anyone from going to a concert. You're not going to see Slipknot, Reddit boy, and that's final. So please smash that like button and subscribe and turn on notifications for new stories from Reddit every single day. My wife won't let me attend my favorite band's concert. Context: my favorite band is coming into town this week, and we've been planning on going to this concert for a long time. The band my wife introduced me to, and it's now my favorite band. She takes pride in that and wants us to experience the concert together. She also loves them a lot. Here's the problem. My wife is 36 weeks pregnant. She doesn't and probably can't go to the concert because of the loud music, the crowds, etc. When I say that I still want to go, she's furious and frequently cries about it. She is pregnant, so I understand the crying. I can't help but feel as if she's being selfish, and just because she can't enjoy the concert doesn't mean I can't as well. What do you guys think? Am I the jerk? Edit. Okay, this blew up. I just want to add further information. First of all, I see everyone getting upset with me. I understand, but please take into consideration, this is the reason I came to this subreddit. Not because I feel as if I'm in the right. I'm asking because I wanted to seek the opinions of others. I tried to sell the tickets, but no one has bought them. I put them up for sale 2 weeks ago, and the tickets totaled to $600. I asked all of our friends, and they're all busy, so I didn't want them to go to waste. I said we planned it for a long time. That is the case. Since it's her first pregnancy, she didn't know how she would feel, and now she isn't comfortable going. I also want to add, we planned this with a group of friends, not just us. I didn't feel the need to add this information because personally I didn't think it would blow up. For those of you who are asking, this band is very niche and hasn't toured in years, especially since lockdown. She isn't worried about preterm labor, just upset that I would go without her. You're the jerk. Your wife is more important than a concert. Put her first and sell the tickets to someone else, and buy her some flowers as an apology. You're the jerk. Be serious. How do you think she feels knowing that you're going to go to a concert that she would enjoy but can't go to? Besides, this late in the pregnancy, she definitely needs your support and assistance. What if something goes wrong while you're at the concert? At this point, I would be putting all activities that place you out of reach on hiatus. She's sacrificing her entire body and mental health to grow your child. She can't drink, eat certain foods, or even sit comfortably. How have you contributed to the growth of this baby? You haven't. How about you make a small sacrifice and stay home? You're the jerk. You're the jerk. You can't be serious. If I were her, I'd seriously be calling a divorce lawyer ASAP. What kind of partner would leave his pregnant wife at home to go to a concert that you knew she wanted to go to, but can't because she's pregnant? You sound like a horrible spouse, and I guarantee you'll be an even worse father than you are husband if you're selfish enough to even think about doing something like this. I hope she sees this as the major red flag that it is and dumps your sorry butt pronto. Why she would have a kid with someone like you is beyond me. Not the jerk. You and your wife both deserve to do things every now and then that you enjoy, even if the other one can't come along for whatever reason. If I were pregnant, which I haven't been in a long time, and my husband wanted to go to a concert that I couldn't attend, I'd tell him to have a good time and bring me back a souvenir. Edit. You can insult me however you'd like, but why on earth would you attack my husband over this? He was the best man I ever knew, and he went home to be with the Lord 12 years ago. He'd be rolling over in his grave if he saw how ridiculous some of you are. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know. If Reddit boy tried to go to a concert without me, I'd celebrate. Very rarely do I get a moment away from this guy. Free pumpkin pies for everyone. This is a story from many years ago when grocery stores were closed on Christmas and Thanksgiving. I worked for a small chain of grocery stores in the Mid-Atlantic and the Deli. Santoni's, shout out. A day before Thanksgiving, the bakery manager asked if anybody from our department would be willing to stay and work all night, just baking pumpkin pies for orders. We were open the day before Thanksgiving till 4, then closed Thanksgiving. I volunteered as I was a college student on Thanksgiving break. I came to work that night and was left a note about temps, timing, and packaging, but no numbers or quantities. This made me nervous. So I called the manager at home and said, "How many pies do you want me to bake?" She told me to keep baking until she came in. And I questioned that, asking, "How many pies exactly do you want me to make?" She obviously was irritated and told me that I didn't need to worry about how many. Just keep cooking until she came in at 5. Okay, cue malicious compliance. I loaded a 6-wheeler cart with frozen pies, put them on trays, and started baking. As the pies were baking, I prepped racks ahead of time and folded boxes while pies cooled. I was a logistical savant. Everything went perfectly, and I was a machine operating at optimal efficiency. By the time she came in at 5, I had cooked every pumpkin pie in her freezer. She lost it. "What the heck is going on? What am I supposed to do with all these pies? You cooked over 400 pies, and I only have orders for 100. The store manager, hearing the commotion, came over and asked what was going on. She said, "She cooked every pie we have in the store, even the Christmas ones. What am I supposed to do with all these pies?" He asked, "Why did you cook all the pies?" And I told him, "She told me to." He asked her if that was true, and she said, "No, well, I told her keep cooking until I got here, but nobody's ever cooked that many before. I didn't even think it would be close." "Then this is on you," he replied and walked away. The best part was that since we were closed the next day, the employees were allowed to take all the leftover bakery items home with them. I took home 10 pumpkin pies and multiple bags of bread and rolls. Every other employee in the store was very, very grateful. Am I the jerk for leaving my date at a bar? I went on a date with a girl Sunday. Let's say her name is Mandy. I've met Mandy several times through my friend's girlfriend, Sarah. Mandy always seemed nice and fun to talk to, so I asked her to hang out Sunday. I knew she liked football because she's been by my friend's house for games several times, so I asked her to come with to watch the game. We went to a sports bar for dinner. The plan was to watch the game, have some drinks, and maybe play pool. So I picked her up Sunday. We got to the bar, and Mandy said that her friend was sitting over there at a table with some other people. She went and said hi. We sat at the bar and ate. Then she asked if it was cool if we went and sat by them. I didn't really want to, but agreed. We went over there and she introduced me. That was basically it. From then on, I felt like a third wheel. I tried to talk about football with some of the other people, but they didn't watch sports. I tried starting a conversation about other stuff with one of the guys, and it didn't seem like it was going anywhere. So I sat and watched the game while Mandy talked to her friends. Time passed, and the game was almost over, so I told Mandy I was probably going to head out after. She said, "Oh, come on, one more drink and we'll go." Okay, fine. Then her friends started buying rounds of shots for each other. Not me. Understandable, they don't know me. Besides, I was driving. I finished my soda and told Mandy I was going to go because I worked in the morning. She got a confused look and looked at her beer, then the time, and then her friends and said, "Oh well, I didn't finish my drink yet." I said, "Well, I'm leaving. I can give you a ride home if you want." She said, "Okay, let me finish my drink." I said, "Okay," and sat down. Then she started messing around with her friends again, going outside with them, playing darts, not drinking her drink. I said, "Mandy, I'm leaving." She didn't acknowledge me or say bye, so I left. Yesterday after work, Sarah called me and yelled at me about leaving Mandy stranded. She said when you drive someone somewhere, you take them home too, but she didn't know I was such a jerk to leave someone alone at a bar like that. Mandy didn't even know that I left until she saw my jacket was gone, and apparently Mandy had to lift home and I should reimburse her. I explained my side and she said, "So what? She was having fun. You should have joined in instead of sitting and moping." I feel like I really tried to get into the conversation and join the group. It just wasn't working. I didn't feel like sitting there bored forever. Her friends were there. It's not like she was alone. Am I the jerk for leaving? Not the jerk. You told her a couple times that you were leaving and offered her a ride. If she wanted a ride, she needed to wrap it up and head out with you when you left. She did not do that. Not the jerk. You gave Mandy several chances to get a ride home with you. She made her choices and got the consequences of those choices. I'm going to say you're the jerk, but only to yourself. From your story, it seemed like you were the designated driver for her to go have a good time with her friends. The fact you still hung around after all the BS she was putting you through, dude, you deserve better and shouldn't accept that behavior. Also, I wouldn't date any of Sarah's friends if this is the bunch she hangs out with. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP Or Mandy? Please let us know. I always loved horrible first dates. Just shows you that you don't need to waste any more time on this person. Am I the jerk for including my stepdaughter's hobby expenses in her allowance? My husband, Frank, who's 52, has 2 daughters from his first marriage, Alice, who's 11, and Brenda, who's 13. My husband divorced his first wife, Candy, when the kids were 3 and 5. I, 32, female, met Frank after his divorce through a mutual friend a few months after his divorce. We dated almost 8 months before I met the kids. They were 4 and 6, and I've been in their lives ever since. Frank and Candy split custody 50-50, and she and I are cordial, and the 3 of us want what's best for the kiddos, including individual and group therapy. We coordinate pickups and drop-off at school and extracurriculars, and sit next to each other at the kids' events. Brenda has a passion for baking. She likes to watch shows about it, and then tries to follow the recipes and even create her own. She also will try to mix ingredients without recipes just to see what will happen. Frank and I have encouraged this hobby as she finds the research and process of baking to be relaxing and fun. She is also responsible for cleaning up the kitchen after she bakes, an expectation she believes is also fair. We have a dishwasher that she knows how to load and use. We also bought her own mixing bowls and baking utensils, but she has free use of all kitchen appliances, obviously. However, she doesn't eat or want to really share her creations. She just likes the process and then will toss it. She will go through more than a pound of flour and 8 sticks of butter in a week. Alice likes to play online video games and will ask for money to buy in-game money to play with her friends. With growing food costs and to teach them the value of $1, Frank told both kids he was increasing their monthly allowance from $25 a month to $75, but with the stipulation that they both pay for their own hobbies. Meaning, any baking Brenda wanted to do, she can buy her own supplies, and any in-game money Alice wanted to buy, she can use her allowance for. Since increasing their allowance, they are more hesitant to add money to their hobbies, though Brenda is still baking several times a month, and Alice is still getting in-game money, but significantly less. Brenda has brought up frequently that she feels it's mean that she has to save her money, about $20 worth, to pay for flour and dairy products when we should just buy it for her. We've explained our reasoning several times. Candy recently approached Frank and I, demanding to know why we're not being supportive of Brenda's hobby. We explain the reasoning behind it, and she insists we should just pay for it to be supportive. We've argued that this is supportive and also a teaching tool to learn that things cost money and how to save for the things you want, which both kids have demonstrated by saving and minimizing their purchases. Candy also doesn't allow Brenda to bake at her home because she doesn't have time to deal with it, even though she is capable of cleaning up with minor supervision. Am I the jerk for including my stepkids' hobbies in their allowance? You're the jerk for allowing her to throw out that much food. What a waste. If she doesn't want to eat it, that's fine. But why do you allow her to refuse to let the rest of the family eat it? OP. I appreciate your judgment, and I hate wasting the food. I grew up poor, and we are now comfortable middle class, and it hurts. But also, her creations are mostly experimental, and she doesn't like to take advice on how to improve things. So her baking is not very edible or visually appealing. Lots of food dye, to put it mildly. If I gave them to the neighbors, it would frankly be insulting. Here, throw this away in your trash, not mine. This is one of the reasons we wanted to have the allowance, to limit the food waste and have her be more careful with her ingredients. Not the jerk. I disagree with Candy and your friends. Frank increased their allowance while stipulating that they had to pay for their hobbies. Great. Now Brenda understands how to be better with her money. Baking is an expensive hobby, and the costs make even less sense if you aren't going to even eat or share the stuff you're baking. Also, is an allowance not money that comes from the parents? Frank is still effectively paying for Brenda's hobby while also teaching her how to spend money wisely. Good for you. You're the jerk, as is your husband, for teaching a 13-year-old that it's perfectly acceptable to flagrantly waste food as a hobby, no matter who's paying for it. Well, what do you think? Is OP the jerk for how her and her husband are doing this or not? Please let us know. Am I the jerk for yelling at my mom about the haircut she gave me and going to my dad's? I, 17 female, was recently told by my mom that I should schedule a hair appointment because the ends of my hair were getting really split. I called and they told me they were basically all booked for the next month due to someone needing a surgery and having to move appointments around. I told my mom that, and she said that she could do it, and I kinda decided, why not? I guess it's good to not have a ton of split ends. So she set up a chair and got the scissors and began doing her work. I was scrolling through Instagram, but after the first 2 cuts, I noticed there was a massive amount of hair on the floor. I asked her why there was so much hair on the floor, and she said my hair was really damaged. I got up and looked in the mirror, and she had cut it at basically my shoulders. For context, my hair is basically down to my waist. I asked her what on earth she was thinking, and she just repeated that it was damaged, like some sort of malfunctioning spam call program. I looked at a few chunks of undamaged hair in the mirror, and there was 1, maybe 2 at most, inches of split ends. I asked her why on earth she had basically cut off 2 feet of hair for no reason, and she now said, "I accidentally cut off a bit too much." I pretty much had to let her finish because there was already too much gone to do anything else about it. So she kept cutting and then claimed she had made it uneven by mistake, so she took even more off. In the end, I was left with basically a bob cut at my chin. I was upset, so I grabbed my school stuff and a few clothes and drove over to my dad's house. About an hour later, my mom came over to pick me up and take her car. My parents split the payments with me 50-50, so she doesn't own it, and told my dad it's her custody week and she's just being a typical upset teenager. My dad told her to go home or he was going to call the cops, so she left. But I got a nasty text which summed up to, "I tried to do something nice for you, and in return you violated your custody agreement with the car that I pay for." I told her I would be more than happy to go back to her house if she cut her hair like mine. She also has really long hair, but she refused. So I'm just gonna stay at my dad's for the time being. Not the jerk at all. I truly don't understand how someone can accidentally turn a dead-end trim into cutting off 2 feet of hair. And then she's just going to stand by her actions while saying she wouldn't want the same thing done to her hair. I hate to say it, but this seems intentional. Your mom needs help. Edit. Furthermore, you said you noticed the large amounts of hair on the floor after 2 cuts. So in the first 2 cuts, she took it up to your shoulders? There's no way this wasn't on purpose. I'm so angry for you. Not the jerk. Unfortunately, this seems like jealousy and some other unresolved issues. Your hair is an extension of yourself, and she took it upon herself to literally chop up your trust in her by cutting off all your hair and worse, being unapologetic about it and petty. Glad your dad is there for you, and in the meantime, they make amazing extensions for affordable prices now if you need some camouflage. I had a bad haircut from a salon and had to do this. Am I the jerk for not going to Thanksgiving at my brother's new house? My brother and his wife just bought a house earlier this year and want to host Thanksgiving at their house this time. Typically, I host, and my mom and I do all of the cooking and cleaning, but this year, I received a pretty upsetting medical diagnosis. Because of this, sister-in-law said she would host and cook. Every year, my mother and father-in-law spend Thanksgiving at our house, as do my parents, brother, sister-in-law, and all of the kids. I spoke with my brother about Thanksgiving yesterday and mentioned that my in-laws are excited to see their new house. He said he was excited to have everyone together, especially because he just decorated their house. We made a plan for who was bringing what food. Late last night, my sister-in-law sends me a text saying no offense to me or my in-laws, but that they only want their families to attend. Basically, she was saying my mother-in-law and father-in-law are not invited. I was under the impression that it was the same Thanksgiving we have every year, but moving it to a different house this year. There's no way I can tell my in-laws they aren't invited to Thanksgiving, so now I feel like I have to host a dinner at my house. Hosting, cooking, cleaning up the house, and then attending the gathering at my brother's house will wipe me out. There's no way I can physically do both, so I'm not going to my brother's this year. I know he will be upset since it's their new house. Am I the jerk for not attending Thanksgiving at my brother's? Update. My brother called me earlier to say he and his wife talked last night and she was absolutely against my in-laws attending. She didn't have a valid reason. My brother didn't agree with her at all, feels she's being unreasonable, and told her that she needed to be the one to tell me that they aren't invited because he was not supporting her decision. He then said he and the rest of the family will be coming to my house and attending Thanksgiving as if it were any other year. They, along with my husband, will be taking over all of the hosting, cooking, and cleaning responsibilities. It sounds like sister-in-law is going to host her family at her home. I know there were a lot of questions and I'll try to get to them individually, but no, sister-in-law and my in-laws are absolutely not strangers. We've spent holidays together as one big family for years, so it's really hard to not feel like she's purposely excluding them. Neither myself, my husband, or my brother can think of any reason she has for doing this other than to exercise some kind of control over the situation. Thank you everyone for the warm words and great suggestions. I'm actively looking into ordering a Thanksgiving meal to take the work off of everyone. I think we all deserve a break. Not the jerk. Don't bother going to your brother's house. It's too much given your situation. You can see the house and that family another time. It's their choice to limit attendance, and your non-attendance is the consequence of their choice. Don't cook. Have guests bring the food, or most of it. Order what needs to be filled in, or just order the entire meal. Many restaurants, groceries, and caterers have menus that they sell. Spend your time relaxing and enjoying the company. Am I the jerk for ignoring my coworker who has a family emergency? I have this one coworker who gets on my nerves. She's still fairly new, but she does things that really aggravate me. First of all, there hasn't been one full week that she hasn't called off. She will frantically text me and other coworkers to see if we can cover, or she calls out right before her shift and my manager scrambles to find coverage. She said that she didn't get paid enough at this job, probably because you don't work the hours you're given, so she went and got another job that pays $1 more. After that, she changed her availability to Monday through Wednesday only at my job. She gets those 3 days if she's lucky, but not always. Well, this week she has 3 shifts, Monday through Wednesday, and on Sunday night she texts me to ask if I work on Monday. I didn't, but I didn't say anything because it was pretty late and she could have assumed I was already asleep. Well, today, just now before her shift in 2 hours, she texts me to ask if I'm working again because she had a family emergency pop up and her dad needs her. I was asleep and didn't see the text, and then she called me 2 times in a row. I didn't answer either of them. I don't know if she's being honest because she calls out at least once a week, and I sure as heck don't want to go in because I'm already the main person to cover days when we're short-staffed. I've been working through the weekends for 4 months straight now. I got today off because I have a college class in the middle of the day, and while I could skip it, I already spend too much time at my job when I'm in school full-time. I'm praying that my manager doesn't ask me to work the closing shift because she didn't show up, but that's usually what happens, and then I have to push through my anxiety to say no. There's a possibility she's truly having a family emergency, but she cries wolf and calls out so much that I don't know what to believe. Am I the jerk for ignoring her? Update. Just got the "Hey, can you cover?" text from my manager that I was dreading. He was nice enough to ask me to come in after my class, which ends at 6, so I would only have to be there for a few hours, but I don't know what to tell him. I feel like if I give in, then I'm just feeding into her continuing to call out like this. Update. I told my manager that she tried to contact me both Sunday and this morning and that I was not going to be coming in today because I need to focus on school. He was super understanding about it, and I'm sure we will talk more about it my next shift. I know my manager is already well aware, but I'm going to reiterate that she is unreliable and that resentment does build among coworkers when you let things slide for one person and the rest of the team has to pick up the slack. I understand why he won't just fire her right now because we are seriously understaffed, but something's gotta give. Not the jerk. Sorry, but I'm not available today is a valid and complete answer. You sound young, and it might feel really off saying something like that, but the more times you use it, the more comfortable it'll get. Karen wife demands my son's college fund. I've been married to my wife for 3 years. I have a 16-year-old son from my previous marriage, and his grandparents and I are on good terms. We've set up a joint account to contribute towards his college fund. The problem started when my wife requested that I pull money from my son's college fund to pay for a C-section in a private hospital. I declined her request and refused to even negotiate. She complained about how I didn't seem to care about her or our son's well-being, even though there was nothing to worry about in terms of health. Yes, every medical procedure has its own risks, but the local free hospitals we have are decent and offer great care. All family members and friends had their kids there. She disagreed and criticized the poor service local hospitals have and insisted that this was a big deal since it concerned both her and our son's health. I tried assuring her, saying she will be fine, but she argued that I have no idea what it's like and told me if I refuse to put money towards the CSE, then I shouldn't be surprised when she puts her maiden name on our son's birth certificate instead of my family's name. I refused as I saw no need to waste money on private hospitals when we had free service and care available. She stopped bringing it up, and days later she had a scheduled CS at the local hospital, and I wasn't allowed to be at the hospital, and I respected her wish. I only saw my son when she came home, and I was shocked to learn she went ahead and put her maiden name on the birth certificate. I immediately went off on her, but she said I caused this and claimed I was obviously favoring my oldest over my youngest before he was even born. I said she was dead wrong and called her petty and vengeful for doing this purely to punish me solely for the fact that I was unable to afford a private hospital. Her family watched and she told me to step out of the room, but I said we weren't finished talking. She started crying and her mom got involved and told me to step out because I was stressing her daughter out. I had an argument with her too and asked if she approves of any part of her daughter's behavior, and she just shook her head, telling me to calm down and give her some time to rest. She said no, but I bear blame too for disregarding my wife's needs after she made them clear and pointed out that pulling some money for the private hospital wouldn't hurt. But my parents disagreed and are upset and refusing to even visit, calling my wife unhinged and toxic. Not the jerk. Your wife sounds petty and exhausting. I get that pregnancy is stressful, but that's no excuse for acting maliciously. She has no right to dictate what to do with the money you put aside for your teenage son. The baby she had is yours too, so her decision to give him only her name was nothing but spiteful. Not the jerk. If your wife wanted to give birth in a private hospital, she should have made that clear from the start so that you could both save up for it. Deciding last minute that you need to steal from your kid's college fund is absolutely ridiculous and entitled. Getting revenge by not allowing you into the delivery room, not allowing you to meet your kid until she came home, and giving him her maiden name is absolutely shocking. There are so many red flags. She is incredibly toxic. Has she always been like this? What's her relationship with a stepson like? You're the jerk. Wow, I guess I'm the only one here, so bring on the downvotes. Your wife is about to give birth to her first kid. She's worried that the quality of healthcare that she will receive in this incredibly painful and vulnerable moment in her life is not good enough. Instead of taking her seriously, trying to understand why she's concerned, and potentially brainstorming for other ways to get the money to pay for the treatment, you laugh in her face and tell her she should be fine with the free stuff. Sure, easy for you to say, as it's not your body that will potentially burst open, and then get upset the kid doesn't get your last name like it's 1950. You're a huge jerk, and I hope she divorces you. Well, who do you think is the jerk? OP or his wife? Please let us know. Stealing the stepson's college fund is just sick. I'd kick Karen out is what I'd do. Am I the jerk for not letting my daughter go to her homecoming dance? My daughter is 14 and a freshman in high school. She came home one day after being at her mother's for a week. We split custody and wrote homecoming on our calendar and starts talking about all the plans she's made with her best friend to go to homecoming together. Homecoming week happened to fall on a week she was with me. She starts raving to my wife and I about the dress her mom took her to buy and that she's matching with her friend. She had even bought a ticket already. I was furious with her entitlement to just make up all these plans without asking me first. I can admit it's not just her fault, but her mother's as well for not clearing it with me before buying her the dress and ticket. In fact, I wouldn't put it past her and her mother to have bought the dress and ticket before asking in order to force me into letting her go. I want to teach her a lesson about asking first and not assuming that I'm just going to let her do whatever she wants and that she can't manipulate people in order to get her way. So I told her that if she had asked first, I'd be happy to let her go to her homecoming dance. But since she decided to make plans and buy stuff before even asking if she could go, I wasn't going to let her. She cried and told me that you can only get one freshman homecoming, and I told her that maybe she should have thought about that. I said all homecomings are the same anyway, that she has 3 more opportunities to go and she's not missing much. She sulked in her room for the rest of the day and didn't talk much. I tried to comfort her, but my wife said not to because I'd be teaching her that I'll give her my attention if she acts upset and cries. I went to comfort her anyway because I didn't think she was acting, but she rejected me. That infuriated me even more, so I left her in her room to cry alone. Her mother was furious when she found out and demanded that I pay her back the money she spent on the dress and homecoming ticket. I said absolutely not because she didn't clear it with me before buying those things, so it's her own fault. However, she contacted her attorney, who contacted mine, and long story short, I got to sit down with my wife and our family therapist for a painstaking conversation about communication. It's now long after homecoming, and my daughter is pretty much back to normal, but she's still angry with me for not letting her go to that dance. I stand firmly by my decision not to let her go. But was I the jerk? You're the jerk. I stopped reading at Teach Her a Lesson. It's a school dance. She's not having privileges restricted for poor behavior, so this is just about your ego and need for control, which is a stupid thing to subject a kid to. You're really claiming your kid and her mother are scheming to strong-arm you into a school event that most parents are excited to take pictures for, getting all dressed up for a first formal high school dance? You're the jerk. It's standard high school stuff, and your daughter will never forget this. It isn't some wild after-party, it's literally her homecoming dance. I cannot even imagine my father acting this way towards me. She will always remember Dad not letting her go to her freshman homecoming for such a petty reason. Yes, it's important to teach your kids to ask permission and not expect, but she didn't even ask you to pay for anything or expect anything from you at all. You blew this way out of proportion. You're the jerk. I'm a dad of teenagers too, including daughters. You need to hear this. Kids her age are starting to learn to be independent. She's exercising her independence in a safe manner by going to a school-sanctioned event, and for some weird reason you don't want her to? Why on earth should she have to ask you to go to homecoming? Please apologize to her for interfering with her plans. Please tell her you realize you were wrong. There was no reason for you to stop her from going. Tell her that like all parents, you're doing your best and sometimes you make mistakes, and this was one of those times. Tell her you're going to try to do better, to let her make her own decisions without having to run everything by you. Not the jerk. Going against the grain here, but most of these people bashing on you are not/will not ever make good parents. They were not raised to be respectful and ask permission before making plans, and they will not teach their spawn to either. That's why they're wasting their time here on Reddit instead of doing important things in life. Well, what are you doing? Gotta go. Got an important Zoom meeting soon. God bless you, and I hope you can save your daughter before it's too late. Well, what do you think? Is Dad a jerk for not letting her go to homecoming or not? Please let us know. I'm still in awe about that guy talking about the Zoom meeting. Bruh. Support our channel by joining as a member today, and we'll give you a shout out in our next video. Or come watch this video next. You won't believe what Karen does in that one.